All right, all right, all right. We're looking at a daily chart of the Nasdaq, and the Nasdaq you can see taking the stairs up, and today the elevator down. Spooky, isn't it? The index was down more than 2%. It hasn't done that since July 20th. Now, a lot of these financial TV media pundit types try to instill fear in the retail folks, and you sell your stock out of panic only to buy them back later at higher prices. There was no Fitch downgrade on this date, and it's just you got to figure after a run, there's going to be some profit taking, and that's pretty much what's going on. Earnings are coming in, really strong, better than expected, and it's kind of like August 1st hit, August 1st and August 2nd. So it's just like sell the news, right? Buy the rumor, sell the news type thing. I don't think there's anything more going on than that. Tomorrow, be an important day. You want to see it hold to 21. But as I always mention, whatever stock you hold, always be mindful of where the 50 is, because the index or your stock could take a trip to the 50 at any time and be perfectly fine. I mentioned, I think I mentioned 2017. I'm going to go back there. 2017, take a trip down memory lane, and you can see this year, 2017, I'm going to fast forward the date here, and it was an easy year to hold stocks. You can see that it just pulled back to its 50 a couple times during that year. Here, it even traded below it, but it still kept chugging higher. And 2018 had a strong year as well. So pull back to the 50s, not the end of the world. Today we had a 2% drawdown. Like I said, it hasn't happened since July 20th. It's not the end of the world. You got to expect this, profit taking. It doesn't go straight up. There's profit taking along the way. So I don't think it's anything more sinister than that. What we look for in our stocks, what I look for in leading stocks is stocks that first of all, when the index goes down 2%, you got to expect growth stocks to go down twice or three times that. So 4 to 6% would be kind of normal. This is Apple. It went down 1.5% less than the index. Yes, they have earnings tomorrow. It just traded down to its 21, holding up well. I would say that's relative strength. This is Amazon down to the 50. They report earnings. It was down 2.6%, while the Nasdaq was down 2.1%. So these stocks are holding up pretty well. These large mega cap tech stock. This is Google, has this buy point here at 127. I might have to put that one on the watch list because it's coinciding with that 10 EMA. So it pulled back to its 10 EMA today. And you can see in August here, the 2 days of selling, as the calendar changes, we get a little more volatility. And I know people make fun of seasonality, but it doesn't have to happen every year. But if it does happen this year, it's not uncommon. You get a little volatility in August and September. So not a big deal. Typically when that happens, though, is like your last buys are your first sells, and the stocks that you've been holding longest are a lot easier to hold on to. I want to take a look at Meta. This is another one of our leading stocks here, and all it has done the last couple of days is just traded down to its 10. It was down 2.5%, while the index was down a little more than 2%. So Meta's holding up well. NVDA, another top AI stock, traded down to its 21 today. Looks like it closed a little below it. Yeah, 1% below the 21. And semiconductors were weak today. Guess what? There's a lot of profits to be taken in those semiconductor stocks because they've been up, like all summer long. So, where are you going to find profits? Well, the stocks that have had the most gains. Speaking of which, SMCI, this one made a new high on Tuesday, okay? Made a new high and pulled back to the 10 today. I'm not going to make a new high every day. And this stock, I've been shaken out of it many times back here in the 50s and 70s, and I vowed not to after it traded down below the 50, down to the 90s here. But anyway, that's beside the point. It has a history of doing this. I've traded this long enough to know that it does these sharp pullbacks here, and it's hard to hold. This is nowhere near, the 50 simple moving average. This one was from 270 down to 213. That was scary. And then what happened? It just ramped higher. So every time this thing pulls back, it trades higher. So maybe it'll come down to the 21. Heck, maybe it'll even come down to the 50. They have earnings next week. So keep my eye on Super Micro, but a leading stock, trading 5% lower, where the Nasdaq was down 2%. It's pretty normal, and holding its 10 EMA. So that's showing strength in a week tape right there. Yeah, close right at its 10 EMA. So we'll see what happens tomorrow. Trade Desk, another one of our leading stocks. Just any stock above the 21 is a strong stock. It was down a little more than 3%. So you got to expect that with growth stocks. This is where the profits are. This is the air conditioning stock, Comfort Systems, ticker symbol of FIX, and it was up today. One of our leading stocks. This is AAON. This is one that's been on our watch list here, and you can see why the consolidation here, and it was up today, or it was flat, flat while the index was down. So that's showing relative strength as it's 3% above its 10 EMA. So, there are stocks that are just, holding up well. This is JP Morgan, down 1%, while the Nasdaq was down 2%, doing nothing wrong. You got to expect this. Stocks don't go straight up. Hubs, this is getting redundant here. Another leading stock, trading down to the 21, doing well. Lulu, I'm just pointing this out because it's on our watch list. It's trading real tight here, within a base here. It did lose its 21 today, just barely, but this thing is trading tight, trading down on lighter volume. That's kind of what you want to see. Keep your eye on Lululemon. Palantir, another stock that's kind of this one has been trading a little wild. It's got a gap to fill here at 1797, so we'll see what happens tomorrow. The low today was 1815, so maybe it'll close the gap, pull back to the 10. Any stock above the 10, traded down, twice the index. This looks fine to me. What other one? Oh, Palo Alto Network. I wanted to show this to you because I talk about this a lot. It broke out of a base back in May, right? And it ran from the 180 to the 250. That was a nice trade. But today it pulled back to its 50 simple moving average, with decent volume for the first time since breaking out of this base. And the probabilities here are pretty good. The odds are better than 50-50 that this thing's going to find some kind of support and bounce. So I'm keeping my eye on Palo Alto Networks, and the low today was 230, 234. Yeah, so right there at the 10 EMA. Okay, I got to point out a couple stocks that were just bonkers today. This is VRT. This is the data center. AMD talked about the data centers. They saw a big uptick coming in the second half of 2023, and of course, Super Micro is in that sector as well. But this one bounced, nearly 30% on massive volume, so that one has to be on our radar. A couple of our holdings here, Elf Beauty. This is a massive move, nearly 15% with nearly 300% above average daily volume. This stock is in demand, just a monster quarter and a monster stock. That one did well. Elf, I had Builder. I wanted to show Builder. This is kind of a slower moving stock. Look how it got above 150, 155. Was uncomfortable with it and pulled back and closed, in the bottom half of the daily range here today. But you can see the volume, and I would suspect after that crushing report that it will go higher eventually. That was a beat and raise quarter from Builder. Extreme Networks, another stock showing strength. This is a really weak tape. It was up 8% while the index was down more than 2%. So Extreme showing well after its earnings. This is Vertex, bouncing off the 50 for the first time after the breakout from the base here. So that's a nice response to earnings as well, up 3%. Humana, the healthcare stocks, were up today, and I think Humana was a big reason for it. That's a major move for a big stock like that. Humana looked good. And then McKesson, this is a medical supply stock. Nice response to earnings report. And McKesson looks good as well, above the 50. You got to, some of these bigger stocks, you got to look at their the weeklies. Nice pullback there. So McKesson looks good. A couple stocks that do not look good is AMD. Terrible response to earnings. That thing sliced its 50. That's one's coming off our list. Big volume. Their guidance wasn't up to snuff, and this is part of the reason why the semiconductors got dragged today. That was not good. And then COCO was up big. It was over $30. I was out golfing today, and I looked at my phone. I said, "Geez, COCO's up 30. That's a nice day." Then I get home, it's at 25. So what the heck happened? And that is not a good looking bar right there, folks. That is ugly. A couple after hours movers, DoorDash. I had a good report. We'll see what that does tomorrow. It's up 4% after hours. MELI, this is not a stock that I trade, but a nice report. And it's up more than 5% after hours. So that looks good as well. ACLS, they had a strong report with strong guidance, and it's not moving after hours. Some stocks just don't trade well after hours, but we'll see how this does tomorrow. You can see today it pulled back to its 10 EMA ahead of its earnings report. A couple stocks that I really do not like, and not sad to see them suffer. PayPal. Someone asked me about PayPal a while back, below the 50 and below the 200. How can you deal with that? Clear downtrend, as you can see the black line there. Their margins are shrinking, and this stock is under pressure. Not good. Another one that doesn't look too good either is Schrodinger. They reported, and they're down 14%. They had a big revenue miss, and you can't be doing that anyway. So there's the good with the bad after hours. Don't panic sell. Usually when you panic sell, you're buying your stocks back at higher prices. You got to expect some profit taking after big moves. Just use your moving averages, use your head, don't panic. Like I said, the first sell is usually your last buy, because you're buying at higher prices. And if you've got stocks from earlier in the year, you probably have a nice cushion to kind of ride out this volatility. Anyway, that's it for me today. Do not panic, and we never give up.